Dun, 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 dun. You guys, what's up? My name's London Ace, and finally we are doing it. Today we are finally doing a birthday post celebration for my birthday party, which is on June 10th. And yeah, my birthday's been going on since yesterday when I officially turned 17, and I'm going to be ranking every top-notch babysitter movie from worst to best in this video. Now, I'm just going to discuss my personal opinion. I do not have a tier list or anything, but I will label and point out what I think of each film. So without further ado, let's get on with the number 9th spot. Even though I have not seen Calvin in Charge yet, I'm going to go by what I think the worst film is. And it is 6th Gen. Oh my god, is this movie, feel like it could have been a little bit betterly written, in my personal opinion. It's not a bad film, but it does feel like it's their weakest effort. I mean, honestly, the production is very different. It's very not much we're used to, which is good. I like different, but the most ambitious moves are like scattered all throughout here, and they're at random at best. Like Bill Darrell is one of the best villains, and he opens this thing up. After that, it goes into complete twists and turns for the rest of the movie. I can highlight Leopold and Consortionist being highlights of the movie, but other than that, the other four villains just don't do anything for the plot, and that's really sad. Other than that, there's an opening scene and an ending scene which don't really convey too much about the plot, which is a sad thing because this is the movie. This is when it's the time to do that. But yeah, 6th Gen was a mess, and I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 stars because it did have some decent moments. So I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of, no, I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 5 stars. 2.5 stars out of 5. Next. Sadly, the next worst of their film is actually a nostalgic fan favorite. So I'm gonna get a lot of hate comments for this one. 3rd Gen is a simplistic masterpiece, and that is not at all the reason it is on here. Evie is an amazing main character. Ben City is definitely a great villain, but I just, feel with this one, there could have been a little bit better construction in the way it was written, as far as, the an hour and 35 minutes, like, I get it. It's supposed to be a big deal project compared to their first two movies, which are just more simple. However, it does have that first movie's essence, which was very interesting to see, because it doesn't barely take any inspiration from the second movie. And that's very interesting. I like the way that the plot is told. I like how it also tries to focus on the main focus of the movie the whole time. And it does a good job of doing so. The animation is very simplistic, unlike 6th Gen. This movie actually does have some good moments and this movie actually does have an entirely good movie, unlike 6th Gen. Not too long, not too short, just perfect. And it's based off of a algorithm that's written by a superhero club, or a club for kids that was made for superheroes, where they had to crack a code. Dang, that's one of the most top-notch babysitter things they could do. Overall, I'm going to give this project a 3 out of 5. I definitely think it's an improvement from 6th Gen and much better, so I'll actually I'll give it a 3.5 out of 5, because, you know what, it is their earlier work, gotta have some respect for it, so yeah, 3.5 out of 5. 3rd Gen. Alright, here at the number 7 spot, we've got The New Bully. This is definitely a turnaround from my personal favorite film, which we'll get to later on the list. This followed that up, and it just doesn't have much to personally say about the actual way it's conveyed or way it's told. It's very different. It's more so a similar style to that of the film we just previously talked about, hence the 3rd Gen. And it does a good job of doing so. Like, it has a little bit of element of third gen and a little bit of the second gen movie. So I appreciated that with the element. However, the characters and the plot and everything about it is pretty good as well. I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 5 because I feel like it's definitely an improvement from everything we've seen so far. But yeah, 4 out of 5, second gen 2, The New Bully. Mac's Big Adventure. Here at number 6, we have one that I particularly found to be interesting, which is the very first film of Top Notch Babysitter. In most cases for Skyworks, the first film was an absolute GOAT with a lot of great moments on it. This one was a good film. I wouldn't go to say it's as good as the sequel, which we'll get to later, but I do respect it. I respect a lot of the earnestness and how it's not supposed to be too crazy. It's not supposed to be too over the top. It's just supposed to be like a stripped back release with a couple select few characters. And that's good. I can respect that. This is like the go-to example of a great film. And I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5. It's just magnificent, honestly. Yeah, 4.5 out of 5 for the 2018 film. Yeah. And here we go again with yet another saga that I just couldn't point out what I was going to pick next, but this is what I chose. Top Notch Babysitter 4th Gen. I'm going to get a lot of mudsling at this. Oh boy. People are going to be so mad that I didn't put this at number 4. But there's better on this list that you will see. Trust me. One film is definitely going to be highly debatable later in the video. But 4th Gen is really good, honestly. It's the reason I list it right here. There's a big issue compared to 3rd Gen in the way it's sold, but most people don't see that. They think it's one of their best work of all time. I do see that it's kind of a little bit different of a style, and it's a little bit more, what's the word, interesting, but at the same time, not really. It's an hour and 45-minute movie, and it takes place about one particular theme, which is good, a destruction site and a babysitter trying to boost their confidence. However, I don't particularly see this movie being one that I would come back to often. That's just personal taste. I get the concept and how crazy it is at moments, but if they kept the whole movie crazy and like this big action scene, this is where the 6th Gen stuff would have worked perfect, but like where they, take all the twists and turns with the action scenes. There's not enough action scenes. I feel like there's a good bit, but just not enough during the hour and 45-minute runtime. So for that, I'm still going to give it a 4.5 out of 5, but yeah. 4.5 out of 5, 4th Gen. Sadly, that sounded very negative. Like, I do really appreciate the moments in the film. I was going to say that. There's a lot of great moments. There's a lot of cool action scenes. There's a lot of great cohesivity and just how this was really the last big, before they went on hiatus for the pandemic. The pandemic movie's coming up. So many people are going to be frustrated, but see why. But yeah. And here's my number 3. And here's my number 4. Oh man. So many people are going to hate me for this. Fun fact, this is a lot of old school 2018 and 2019 fans' favorite Top Notch Babysitter movie. Micaiah's Big Adventure or 2nd Gen. So many people are going to be mad that I put this at number 4, but my opinions have changed. Here's why. Calvin Uncharted is getting ready to come out, and my opinions have changed about the older stuff. It's still good, and it's still unique and original and great, but I feel like this movie does have a little bit of a issue with being a little bit too short. I mean, add in an extra minute or two and you got yourself a perfectly packaged deal, but it's only 24 minutes. That's the only issue. Outside of that, it's absolutely amazing. I mean, the groundbreaking sequence and aesthetics are definitely an improvement from the first film. That's why it's this high up. I feel like we're just missing a little something with the ending, but other than that, I mean, this movie is absolutely groundbreaking. The whole movie comes together very well, and I don't know how to phrase it. I wish that people would be more open-minded. I hope I don't get a lot of hate comments, but you have every right to, because this is a really good film, unlike a 6th Gen. But yeah, nostalgia purposes, I'm definitely going to give this a 4.5 out of 5. And yeah, let's move on. Oh boy. Oh boy. I'm dead. The Businesswoman is actually a pretty unique film. Even though it has a villain that was kind of unpredictable, that's what makes it a great film. I think Sophia actually makes a pretty convincing antagonist. Yeah, top 3 material, if I do say so myself. Evan is pretty cool. The whole runtime and the way this movie is handled is pretty cool. Very simplistic, very, unique. It has that nice summertime feel, which I bet Calvin in Charge is going to have as well, since both films came out in the summer. However, this movie is intended to be a spring-themed film, which is very good, because there's like a little bit of everything. I believe part of this movie takes place in the spring, and then at the very end it transitions to summer. There's so much uniqueness in this film, and it's so sad that critics look past it as like, well, this film did not do as good as, like the previous two. But Mel in Charge was groundbreaking. Okay? I don't mean this is better than Mel in Charge. I just mean it's unique, and it's definitely a step up from The New Bully. Like, there's a little bit of everything in this film, but it's very stripped back, much like Fourth Gen or their earlier work. And that's what I feel like people didn't expect from it. It's much more a callback of the older stuff. It wasn't that hype, wasn't that crazy type of film. It's just, a film about life experiences, and more like a little break from all the craziness that happened in the previous 2 films. Well, no, previous hold on. Previous like 4 films, because they've been going strong ever since 5th Gen, and yeah. But that was different, and that's what fans didn't expect. It calls back to 4th Gen through 1st Gen type stuff. I really could appreciate it though. Yeah, definitely a 4.7 out of 5. This is easily like a step up even. Oh man, I'm dead again. Oh brother, I'm gonna get like doomed in the comments for this one. So many people hate this movie. 5th Gen is my top 2 pick. Honestly, I think this is really nice. If they made 6th Gen more like this, instead of going and doing a bunch of long, crazy, drawn-out stunts and stuff, I think it could have worked surprisingly and really well. But they didn't, and that's what fans wanted to see. And they just gave the fans what they wanted to see. But with this particular film, I feel like it was something so unexpected, because it's their first step into these big adventure films, taking a step back from the stripped-back, simplistic action films. There's more adventure and action in this one, which is crazy. And the style they were using before was their own style. I feel like they kind of transitioned into something new and then found their style again, official style, with the next film on the list, which we'll talk about next. But oh my gosh, it's actually kind of beautiful when you watch the experience of this film go on. It's only an hour and 25 minutes, much like the last film, which was actually the same length that we just talked about. But it's sad to see such a film with noble value and like 3 amazing villains, an amazing plot. So much comes together, and it all does it so well. But I gotta say, with this particular film, wait for it. It's amazing. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I honestly wish that people were more nice about this film. They think that Bernard Dribb is one of the worst top-notch babysitter villains of all time. I do not. I think he adds a lot of extra potassium and flavor to the storyline. But if they're like, Marty Minor's amazing, Brian Bradford's amazing, Sydney's a new character that's an easily great addition to the cast list. The characters are all amazing. There's just so much going on in this an hour and 25 minutes. You got Melissa, you got Micaiah, you got Evie, you got Corey, and you got Sydney. Not too much, not too little. This is perfect, honestly. I'm going to give this a 5 out of 5. I really enjoyed this one. Finally, number 1. And there is no better film on this list. You cannot pay me to say there is a better film on this list as of right now. We'll see. Calvin in Charge could be debatably the best, but as of right now, number 1 still stays number 1. Top Notch Babysitter 2, or the 7th film in total, Mel in Charge. This movie is so crazy and ambitious. I'm definitely going to keep my list updated throughout the time until the next film's out, after Calvin in Charge, obviously, and even keep them updated throughout the entire saga. But stay tuned for when I do that. But Mel in Charge, oh my gosh, it's going to be hard to compete with this. This movie saw Top Notch Babysitter take a step into the most unique directions ever, collaborating with some really great style, and just bringing it all into their own uniqueness. Like, a little bit of everything was in there. There was a little bit of a adventure Christmas special, much like a Home Alone, or you know, their classic action stuff, but just done a million times better with a lot of great production and two amazing villains, a nice stripped back set of heroes, because there's not too many, it's not too much. You got Micaiah, you got Melissa, you got Mel, and that's really it. The other characters are in it, but they're minor characters. That was a complaint surrounding a few people at the time. However, it's grown to be one of the biggest box office successes of all time and one of the most best-selling Skyworks movies of all time. I gotta say, this one in particular is one of the most hardest to beat. As a Top Notch Babysitter fan, I can clearly say this is a 5 out of 5 or a 10 out of 10. Doesn't matter how you want to put it, it's their best work. Everything is so unique. The way that they're trying this new style to be like this ambitious move is just so well done. And yeah, definitely deserves a #1 spot. 7th film or 2nd film, Mel in Charge. And I will see you guys on June 10th or 11th, whenever I decide to do it, for an updated ranking with the new movie on the list. So that one's going to be fun. See you guys when I can add the Calvin in Charge to the list. And bye. Adios.